Hi, and welcome to another video of service process design and improvement. In this video, I will be talking about branding techniques. For branding techniques, it's important for any business, for any service that you are running, you're managing. And the reason for that, because what we've done so far in previous videos and previous chapters is we talked about how we plan for your business, for your service. And we created a blueprint and we've done some time studies. We created a flow chart map that will show the streamline of your service. And also we did talk about how we could improve it. So if there is something that needs to be improved, what some of the activities that we could do, such as customer surveys, such as the quality function deployment, such as the Kano analysis, all this and more could be used to improve the service. Now it's time to talk about branding your business, how we could brand your business. Now we're moving from the behind the scenes into the market, and we need to show people what is your service is about. So first of all, we need to talk about the importance of branding. Having a successful business is all about bringing in customers. You need to bring customers, which require some type of branding and marketing. So that's the whole idea, is why we need to convince your customer that you are the best competitor, you have the best service in the market. So you need to bring them, which basically will bring more money and more profit for your business. Branding is not your product, not your logo, and it's not your website or your name. So the branding, it's not only just, people think brand is just the picture that goes on the package. No, it's not. It's about multiple dimensions, aspects that we will be discussing. Logo is part of it. A website is part of it. Yes, it's not only about these, but we need to go into even the emotional aspect of your business that will reach to your customers, and then the customer will be convinced. So we're not going to talk about only the design and logo of your service, but also we will talk about the intangible features that identifies your business. So branding, it's about creating impression in the minds of your customers. So we need this impression to last, long lasting. We need to keep the customer remembering what our business is about. So it's not about just the 1 minute that the customer came and order their food. It's about how we need our customer to remember us. So we need this to create the brand for your business by creating a lasting impression. So here's a short definition of brand. What is a brand? A brand is what people think, feel, and say about your business. This is all about brand. So it's not about logo, it's not about website. It's part of it. Yes, it's tools to help you market your brand, but the brand actually, it's what people think and feel and say about your business once they leave your facility. There are several components for branding. The key components that form a brand's toolbox include a brand's identity, personality, product design, brand communication, such as the logo and trademarks, brand awareness, brand loyalty, and various branding strategies such as brand management. There's so many things. So that's what we call the toolbox. The toolbox has all of these several components that you will see, such as the identity of the brand, the personality of the brand, the product design, how they design your service, brand communication, and logos, websites, etc. And there might need to hire a brand manager who will help you to manage your brand. A brand is a promise to its customers of what they can expect. So this is all about, it's all about your customers. So you need to promise them with something, and the brand is what the promise. It's the promising the customer through your brand. There are four levels of brand identity. Now, again, we're talking about the components here, the components, and one of the components of branding, the toolbox, as I said, include the brand identity, personality, and design, etc. And now let's go in depth and talk about all of these. There are four levels of brand identity, and these are attributes, benefits, values, and personality. We need to talk about these because these are the most important. You need to know about branding, and you have to identify the four levels of brand identity. One is attributes, and these are a set of labels with which the corporation wishes to be associated. For example, that's an example of what attribute. A brand may wish to showcase its primary attribute as environmental friendliness. So a company would like to promote themselves as an environment friendly company. And so a brand attribute alone, this is just an attribute. This is what they wish to do. This is what they wish to send, kind of a message to the customer saying, I wish to be an environment friendly company. A brand attribute, that's the attribute is not enough. So it has, so that's the wishes. Now we have to bring more components, more levels to the brand identity. And the next level would be the benefits. So a brand's attributes alone are not enough to pursue the customer into purchasing. It's pursuing customer, it's not enough just having just the attribute, the wish for the customer. We need to bring it to the next level, which is the benefits. What would be the benefit of purchasing the product? Okay, so it's not convincing enough, the attribute, it's not convincing enough to buy your service or to buy your to deal with you in your business. So what they need to do, companies need to bring benefits. These attributes must be communicated through benefits, okay, which are more emotional translation. If a brand's attributes is being environmentally friendly, customer will receive the benefit of feeling that they are helping the environment by association, but by associating with the brand. So in here, in the benefits, we need just not only send the message, also we need to show an example of, and that's why we need to do that, because we need them to feel that we are an environmental friendly company. So you show them some examples of how would you commit to that message. You show them the process, maybe the recycling process, maybe you have some awareness program in the community. So this is what you want to bring. Also, you want to bring the feeling to the customer, saying, yeah, this company is doing a great job with the environment friendly, and therefore we should feel with them. They will be feeling with you that yes, you're not just only sending a message of just the that you are environment friendly, but also you show them some examples on how you will achieve and being an environment friendly. The third level of brand identity is values. If a company is seen to symbolize specific values, it will in turn attract customer who also believe in these values. Let me give you an example here. Nike brand represent the value of just do it attitude. So that would be the attitude, just do it. That's the message. Therefore, this form a brand of identification to attract customers who also share the same value. So it's, first of all, if you have to create an attribute, a message that you wish to send it. Benefits is show people what you do, and that will help you to bring the customers feeling and emotional to support you. And values, it's not only the attribute and the benefits, but the value, it's the symbol of your company, which will help you to attract these customers who will share the same value, such as the example that I shared with you here. Just do it for Nike. That would be an example of, this not just only a message, it's also will bring the people who will share the same value. The last level of brand's identity is personality. Quiet, literally, one can easily describe a successful brand identity as if it's were a person. So in here, in the personality, we're not talking about just something intangible. We're talking about identity, how we could feel that brand as a person. This form of brand identity has proven to be the most advantageous in maintaining long-lasting relationship with customers, as give them a sense of a personal interaction with the brand. So now we're going to have your brand as a person. Uh, so, for example, uh, if they are honest, if they are looking for reducing prices in the market. I'm thinking about grocery stores such as Walmart. They have a, a big message that will bring a lower price every day, and now it's where most people, they're trusting that brand, the Walmart brand, by saying, okay, yeah, they're doing their best that they to reduce the prices. And they've seen this through benefits, values, and attributes. It's not just only a message. Okay, so all four forms, these are four forms that we talked about, the four levels of attributes, help deliver a powerful meaning behind what a corporation hopes to accomplish, and to explain why customers, this is the most important, these four levels will explain why customers should choose this particular brand, one brand over its competitors. So these are four identities, four level of identities, brand identities will say, okay, these what we want. These are the customers will say, this is the brand that I want, because this is will explain why they should choose your brand. Now we're going to move into the next level, which is uh, the brand strategy. What brand strategy? How we could use this brand strategy? Okay, a brand strategy is a systematic development of a brand, alignment with a business strategy. Okay, so now we're having a business strategy and we have a brand strategy, and this is a plan that will help you to reach. So there's an alignment between the business strategy and the brand strategy. They fit to each other, they feed each other, and there should be an alignment. So it is a plan for your branding on what you need to do. How would you create a brand for your service, and this should be aligned with a business strategy. So the brand strategy itself will help you understand who you are and acts as a blueprint to help you communicate it. So it's just a guide. The brand strategy is a guide, like create a step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we say, okay, this is what we want. This is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, and you create a map for yourself, whether you call it a map or you call it a framework or you call it a blueprint, whatever you want to call it, but it's a guide that it will help you to spread the word to the customers about your brand. And this plan, it's separate than the plan for your business. That's just only for your brand. So we're not talking about business strategic plan, which we discussed it earlier, but now we're talking about the brand itself, how I need my customer remember my service. I need them to remember my service. I need this remember it last longer. Whenever they think about any of my services, they will come one message, a clear message with the 4 attributes that we discussed. And now this is how I become successful. Okay, now there are multiple ways for creating the brand, the brand strategy. And now I'm gonna share with you a very simple strategy that I found online by a branding company. They're specialized in branding, and I love that plan, so I want to share it with you here in just a second. So the brand strategy process, there are multiple ways, as I mentioned, to create your plan. But however, this simple one that I want to be sharing with you, taken from a branding company called Column 5 Media. I thought they did a great job, and I think this should be shared here with you as well, so you could use it. Because I am a big champion for simplifying things, and this is clear. There are three things that we should consider in brand strategy process. These are the brand heart, and this is the core of your brand. What is the main thing about your brand? Brand messaging, how you talk about who you are. So, number one, the things that the brand heart, what you are doing, like what the core of your brand, what's good at, what you are good in doing it. And then the second one is brand messaging, how you talk about you, who you are, about your brand, your service. And number three is the visual identity, the visual expression of your brand. So these are the three things that you should consider for any brand strategy. And we will go into more details on these three. We're going to spend a much of time here, a lot of time on these three elements for your brand strategy. Again, the core, the heart of your brand, the message, the visual identity. The core is what you're doing good. So if you're serving food, that would be your core. You're doing excellent with food. Next is the message. How you talk about yourself when you meet with somebody. How would you introduce the brand, the service for people? Number three is the visual identity, visual expression of your brand. So let's take a look into these and go into more details about these three uh, three steps uh, for creating a brand strategy. One is the brand heart, and this brand heart can be done by creating the purpose of your business and create the purpose of your brand, the vision, what would be your future goals. Yeah, one thing is you have a goal right now, a goal, and now the other one is the future goals, which is the vision. What's your vision? How would you, um, you know, how this business will be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So you need to include that. The mission, what's your mission here? How you contribute to the community? How would you contribute to the customer and bring some values? What the values that you are adding to the market? If a customer would like to buy your service, what would be the values of having? So having a value, it's important. So these are the brand heart. These are the heart of the brand, the purpose, vision, mission, and the values that you're bringing to the market. Number two, brand messaging. Now, this is basically the voice of your brand, the tagline of your brand, the value that you're bringing, the messaging pillars. What are how you could create a personality for your brand, okay? Which is basically we're dealing with your brand as a human. Okay, we need to bring some personality. We need to give some values, voice to your brand, and we will share with you some of the steps and tips that you could use to create a brand messaging. Number three, visual identity. Visual identity that would include what logo you will be using, the color, the image, any additional element that will create a visual identity. Now we're going to more details and we will talk about the next phases, which is basically the brand heart. How would you find the brand heart? All right, so for this part one, finding your brand heart, what we need to do, every brand holds a basic set of beliefs that influence everything they do. Knowing what these principles are, why they are matter is important, as they are powerful, potent force that can actively support or spottage uh, your business. When your brand's beliefs and business are aligned, so it's important to align your business strategy and brand strategy, and you should be successfully bring people together and cultivate community and create the future you want. So aligning these strategies really important, because you don't want to go into one direction, your business going into one direction and your brand into a different directions. When you have no beliefs, or those beliefs are toxic, you can easily alienate both employees and customer, um, and you're basically destroying your culture and make decisions that uh, affect your long-term goals. So what we need to do here, we need to, first of all, we need to look into the importance of your brand, what you're doing is good. You want to align it with your strategy, business strategy, and then you now go to the next step. Your brand heart is comprised of 4 elements. So we have 4 elements that will help you to create who you are, what you do, and what it matters. So these are the 3 questions that you want to answer: who you are, what you do, and why it matters. The purpose, why do we exist? Why your brand is exist? The vision, what future do we want to help create? So we need to make sure that what future do we want to create? What does the future look like? We need to make sure that we have a clear vision. The mission, what are we do here? How do we create that future? Values would be what principles guide our behaviors, what our value, what the company. So these are the things that you want to, these are the questions that you want to answer to create your brand heart. What, why do we exist? What future do we want to help create? What are we here to do? And what principles guide our behaviors? The first one is your purpose, why you're here. You're serving food. You need to serve a quality food. For example, if I'm going to create a restaurant, the purpose is to create quality food. The vision, in 5 years from now, I will be creating a chain of my restaurant brand. So that would bringing the quality food to multiple areas in the country, for example. Mission, I am here to help the community because I want them to share the same great food that I am having here. So that's my mission, is to share the food. If you have some other aspect for the mission, such as dealing with the community, creating a portion of your profits to the community, that would be great as well. And will help you to create the future you want as well. Now, values, what principle guide your behavior? So how would you, what the things that direct you? And if you say, I want to bring a high quality food, okay, how that's going to be assured? What values you have in order to bring this? So there's a link here that I shared with you. You could go to this website, go to column 5 brand heart workbook, and that will help you to create the heart of your brand. So now I want to share with you this quote here: define what your brand stand for. That's basically the heart. Define what your brand stand for, its core values and tone of voice, and then communicate it consistently in these terms. What's your brand stand for? Core values and tone of voice, and then communicate that every minute, every second. You have to consistently communicate these values. Now, for creating the brand since we have three things that we need to work on. We need to work on personality, voice, and tone. These are the three things that we need to create for our brand. Start with the first one, identify your personality. What is your personality? Your personality is the basically your brand's human characteristic and attributes. So what we're trying to do here, we're trying to move the brand from a thing into a living thing, from a non-living thing into a human thing, a living thing, living creature. And then think about things that um, such as the describe your personality, the brand personality, wild, crazy, Elliot, and curious. And there are so many attributes. So go to the list of adjectives and say, okay, which of these adjectives that will help me to represent uh, my brand. So what you need to do, start with creating 3 to 5 objectives. These may be all you need to articulate your brand personality, but they can be a jumping off point to get your team brainstorming. So it could be anything. So maybe 3 to 5, or could be something else. As here, for example, column 5, for example, they have these identity for how this is how they identify their brands, the identifying their brands as a human. So human, self-aware, good-natured, and frank, smart but not arrogant, youthful yet wise. So this is how they identify their brand. It's a great characteristic, and these characteristics can fit a human person as well. So deal with your brand as a human, give them characteristic, personality. This is how you bring it to the customer. You want to introduce your brand as a human. Red Cross, uplifting, empowering, inviting, personal. JetBlue, nice, smart, fresh, stylish, and witty. So that would be the characteristic, the personality of their brand. So think about now what I want to, I'm assuming that you guys taken some notes here and you have a list of personality that you want to create. So you list down 3 to 5 adjectives. So these are what we need, 3 to 5 adjectives that will help you to create your the identity, the personality of your brand. Now, for number 2, we need to create a voice, a brand voice. How would you identify your brand voice? This is the way your brand sounds and speaks. Every brand voice is unique. A yogurt brand does not speak the way a car brand speaks, for example, and one car brand sounds different than another. Your personality already influences your brand voice. So the personality that you created in the previous slide, now this will influence the brand voice. You just need to articulate it so that you can communicate consistently in your content. The word, phrases, slang, and jokes you use communicate your identity in both direct and indirect way. So anything, any word you're using, the slangs, even the pictures that you're using for marketing, that will identify the voice of your brand. So we have to be really careful, even for your personal branding. Like you have to be careful on what phrases, what words, what jokes you use. Same thing for your brand is you're putting a life into your brand, and now you need to make sure that the voice of your brand match the identity of your brand, which will match the or align with a brand strategy and align with a business strategy. There's a survey that I put here that you could use it if you wish to create the brand voice, but this is uh, this is optional. But again, what you want to do, the brand voice is associated with the identity that you created, and you have to be really careful on the words, the slangs, the pictures, the jokes that you use to communicate, whether directly or indirect. Nike did not discover the power of advertising. They discovered the power of their own voice. That's what they have. They did not discover the power of their advertising. It's they have a strong voice for their brand, and that's where the strength coming from. Number three, identify your tone. We need to identify the tone for your brand. Your brand's tone is basically your general attitude. Your voice may be authoritative, but the tone is respectful. So you could be an authoritative person, but also you're respecting people. Think of your brand voice as how you talk, and your tone as how you talk in a different context. You always use the same voice, but you may shift your tone depending on who you are talking to. So that, it's like the whole thing here. We're trying to create a brand, and trying to create a personality in your brand. And this is basically you're bringing life to your brand. And now you want to look into different aspects that, as we mentioned, the identity, the voice, and now here the tone. And think about it as a human. What's the tone that you want to send to that customer? There's so different ways when you communicate with people. There's different tones that you want to use. Think of how you want to make people feel. Should you talk to them like you are a helpful and a kind neighbor, or mysterious and a love lover? So, what do you want to? How would you like to send this message to them? To start, choose at least 3 words to describe your tone. And this is how you create three words, just 3 words that will describe your tone. For example, Uber describes their tone as optimistic, inviting, and bold. So these are the 3 things that describe, these are the tone for your brand. So create 3 words to identify what would be the tone for your brand. All right, now creating branding messages is number 2, part 2. So let's go back. We have to review see where we are now. The first one is the heart of your brand. So we covered the heart, the core, the vision, the mission, how we could bring the brand into alive by bringing the personality of your brand, the voice, and the last one that we discussed here, which is the tune that you want to use. And now we're moving from the brand heart, to the brand messaging. What we need to do to create the brand messaging. There are many ways to talk about who you are, what you do, and why people should choose your brand over your competition. For the purposes of this brand strategy, you are starting with the most basic messaging, your value, prop, tagline, and messaging pillars. All right, let's go ahead and talk about all of these and see how that's going to work and what we need to do to create the brand messaging. The brand messaging start with articulate your value prop. Your value prop is a brief explanation, again, brief explanation of both the function and emotional benefits your product or service provides to customers. So we need to make sure that we have a brief definition, a brief functional and emotional benefits, what the benefits that your product or service provide to your customers. It is not just who you are and what you do differently. It's not about this. It is also how you solve their problems, why they should choose you over the competition. So now we're having a competition. It's not what the service that you do, what the value you give, but also you need to show them that if they choose your service, you will be able to solve multiple problems for them. And this is why they have to choose you over other competitors. You can also think of it as the promise of what your customer will receive if they buy from you. It's still your tagline. Now your tagline is a sentence, a phrase, or word used to summarize a market position. So just a one sentence. What is your tagline? A phrase, a sentence that will summarize a market position. A great tagline offering interesting insights that can help you choose the perfect one. Can help you choose the perfect one. Identify your messaging pillars. Now we're going to talk about the messaging pillars. Your messaging pillars are the key stories you want to tell about your brand. The key stories that you want to tell about your brand. What makes you unique and different? Every piece of content you create should reinforce these core messages across all touch points. So now here's we're going to tell some messages that will tell the people why you're different, how this is going to be if they choose your service versus other competitor. So these are the messaging that we need to talk about it. Again, the starting from create the value prop, which is a brief explanation about the function and emotional benefits. Tagline, it's just a one sentence phrase or word used to summarize the market position. And number three is tell the stories, why you are unique and different, how you are different from other competitors. Now, number three, part three of branding is design your visual identity. And this is things like the logo, the color, the image that we use. Now you are finished all the basis for your brand. It's now, let's send it in a visual thing. Let's create an visual. Design is the silent ambassador of your brand. All right, so starting with the logo, a good logo is memorable, something that people can memorize, can remember, and research shows that the most memorable logos are the simplest logo. So you need to create a simple logo so people could remember you. You want it to reflect your brand, yes, but keep it simple if you want to make an impact. You also need to consider how people visually process and assign meaning to images, as research has found that people assign different attributes to different shapes. So again, what's the short here? The short summary of this slide is we need to keep our logo as simple as we can to represent your service. Typography. Typography is an extension of your logo. We start with the logo design first. Here, typography is more important than ever as people are consuming words in a multiple mediums. That said, something that works on your packaging may not work well on your website. So it's important to consider not only how your typography aligns with your brand, but the many applications will be used for. So for example, if you're going to create something for your bags, your plastic bags or paper bags, it might not fit your website. So you probably use the same font type, but in a different size and so on. So you need to adjust your typography based on the application and where you want to use it. Color, it's one of the most powerful tool that we use in branding. It's the most important element of branding. Researchers suggest it can affect everything from brand perception to purchasing intent, yet it is a bit of a tricky science. Not all color evoke the same things in everyone because our associations with color are very subjective. So now if you're using a color, pick like 2 or 3 colors for your logo and use these 2 or 3 colors every time for every templates, for every marketing tool. And this will help you to have consistency and that will be part of your brand. Imagery is more important than ever. So we use the images. So now, so much of your brand is communicated through visual media. Whatever you choose, photography, illustration, or a combination of both, everything should align to your brand. So whatever image you're using, make sure that it is aligned to your brand. So it is really important to use some images in your marketing and your branding that will help you to um, identify the brand of your service. Illustration, developing a unique illustration style is a smart way to visualize brand your content, but don't go overboard. You want a style that is clear, distinct, and on brand. Also, don't mix styles or clutter illustration with a visual junk. So what I'm saying here is basically just keep it simple and make it unique that will go with your brand. Photography is effective tool that is less time intensive to design. You need a clear aesthetic to keep it consistent with your brand. So we need some images uh, of your uh, of your service that will go with the brand. Show them an example of what your brand or your service will look like. So photography is an effective tool in a less time to design. Just take a picture of your restaurant, food, something to go with your brand to show them as an example of your service. All right, with that said, I'd like to thank you so much for listening to me. Please let me know if you have any question. Thank you so much.